Hey everybody, going live here, Coach Grant, Optimal Performance. I'm going to get Facebook up and running, and then we'll get rolling into the workout for today. All right, and we are good to go. Hey everybody, Coach Grant here, Optimal Performance. It is Tuesday, it is Cinco de Mayo. Today's workout's going to be a little bit different than what we've done in the past few weeks. Today we're going to focus on a mobility flow that you guys can go through, a mobility circuit. I know it's a stressful time for a lot of people, so last thing you need is a whole lot of stress added on through lots of heavy, hard, intense workouts. So today, this is going to be a good workout that you can do on your rest days, on your recovery days, or if you're just feeling beat up, if you're feeling stressed out, this is a good workout that you can go through just to help loosen everything up, kind of calm you down. And the biggest thing is helping you recover and getting you rejuvenated so that you can hit the gym hard later in the week, the next day, depending on what your days are set up like. All right, so what we're going to go through today is going to be 9 different exercises. Now, I'm just going to go through each one for about 15 to 20 seconds. We're going to go one time all the way through. Feel free, if you guys want to hold a little bit longer on any of the mobility exercises or work on it a little bit more, if you find that it's a little bit of an extra sticky point for you, feel free to do that or rewatch later, and you guys can pause the video and then resume from there. All right, so what we're going to start out with today is going to be some lying belly breathing. Now, breathing is one of the biggest thing that is often overlooked when people exercise. They know that they need to breathe, but they're not quite sure how. This is going to be a good breathing exercise that you can do not only before your workouts, but you can also do it anytime throughout the day if you're feeling extra stressed. And it really helps the body just calm back down. It gets you kind of primed to where you're not so in that sympathetic mode. So what we're going to do for this, everybody, I'm going to have you guys lie back. Find a comfortable spot on the ground. Bringing your feet up. From here, lying back, I like to go one hand on the belly button. From there, big thing I want you to focus on with this breathing is breathing in through the nose and then out through the mouth from there, all right? So get used to, again, breathing in the nose. So it might be a little bit challenging if you're going through a cold or you got allergies or something like that, but what we're gonna focus on with these is gonna be a deep breath in through the nose. Big exhale out. Shoot for about a 3-second inhale, and then about a 2 to 3 second exhale, and try to breathe down into your hand as you guys go through here. So again. Now, if this is your first time working on belly breathing, you might find that it is extremely difficult, but just like any muscle, you've got to keep working it to get it stronger, to feel more comfortable with it. So again, really try to focus on breathing down into your hand. Last thing we want to do with these is to keep kind of feeding into that dysfunction of breathing up into the chest and shoulders. So if you find that your shoulders are starting to rise up towards your ears, just refocus, take a little bit more of a shallow breath, and like I said, build up that breathing tolerance. So with these, before the workout, I like to go through about 5 to 6 deep breaths on the belly breathing. So like I said, if you guys want to spend a little bit more time on that, feel free to, but we're going to go ahead and roll into our next mobility exercise, which is going to be lying 4 sides. So from that same position that we worked on with that breathing, we're going to go ahead and set our elbows about shoulder height. We're going to rotate the back of our hands down to the ground. Now, some of you guys may find that even this position of rotating down, depending on what your shoulder mobility is like, can be challenging. So if that's something you're getting a stretch right there, some rotations are what you can do. But what we're going to work on today is we're going to go into that rotated position, back of the hand to the ground. Still focusing on that belly breathing. We're going to take a deep breath in. We're going to reach up overhead. And then exhale back down to that starting position. And you can bring it down a little bit farther from there as well to where the hands are closer to about ear level. And then deep breath. And try to focus on keeping the elbows and the back of the hands on the ground as we go through. So again, deep breath. Reaching up. Big exhale back down. So again, with these, feel free to do as many as you like. I like to generally do about 5 to 6 on the floor slides. And you should start to feel some of that tightness in the chest and some of that stickiness in the shoulders start to subside from there. Now, again, if you have a pre-existing shoulder condition, you might want to get checked out by the doctor before you do some of these exercises because it could be exacerbating the problem from there. So again, if you know you have a pre-existing shoulder condition, make sure to see a professional before you do any of these exercises. All right, so after the floor slides, what we're going to roll into next is going to be an upper back rotation mobility exercise, and these are going to be some kneeling rib pulls. All right, so it's going to look similar to a T-spine rotation with our hand by the ear, but we're looking to engage the muscles a little bit more with this exercise. So what I'm going to have you guys do on these is we're going to start out our kneeling position. We're going to sit our hips all the way back to our heels. Toes are going to be curled up underneath. From here, we're going to take our left hand. We're going to reach all the way across, and you're just going to hold on to the opposite side of your ribs. All right, so once we're in that position, again, hips all the way back. And the reason why we sit hips back is it keeps us from just rotating at the hips. So this kind of locks in our lower body and ensures that that mobility is coming from the mid to upper back as we go through. So once we've got it locked in here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up my back shoulder. And basically what we're trying to do is show our chest as far as we can. You'll start to feel it in your back. And that's those muscles in your back kind of opening up as we go through. So we're going to rotate as far as you can, pause for a second, and then return back to that starting position. All right, rotate. Back to that starting position. Now, this is one where we're not necessarily shooting for just as much range of motion as we can get. So this isn't one where we're here just trying to crank it open. We want to be able to feel those muscles activate. Now, if we feel like we're starting to rotate at the hips, then we're probably going a little bit too far. So be honest with yourself on these and make sure that we're locking those hips in. So again, it's going to be a rotate and then back to that starting position. We're going to get about 5 to the left side. And then we'll switch over, we'll get 5 to the right side. So again, on this opposite side, same thing. We're going to reach across with that right hand, lock those hips in place. We're going to open up that shoulder and then return back to that starting position. Now the bottom arm on these, it's going to stay straight and extended as you guys go through. And you may feel it a little bit more on one side than the other. That's not uncommon with exercises as you go through. And again, that could be for a number of reasons. And relax, again, 5 on that right side. So we've worked on a little bit of rotation. We've worked on some shoulder opening exercises. Next up, we're going to work on a hip opening exercise. And these are just going to be quadruped rock backs. It's also a good exercise to kind of find your ideal squat width as well. So I'm going to show you something that we're going to be looking for as we go through our rock backs today. We're going to start on that all 4 position. We're going to go ahead and keep those toes curled up underneath. A good starting point is about shoulder width with the knees, and we'll adjust as we need to. Like I said, I'll show you what to look for on the rock backs, but what we're going to work on with these today is we're just going to be pushing our hips straight back. Again, trying to get our hips back to our heels, and then rocking back to that starting position. Now, what you want to look for on the rock backs, and you'll feel a little bit of stretch in the inside of the legs, what you want to look for is what our hips are doing as we go throughout. So what we don't want to happen is our hips to tuck under and get a lot of stretching and rounding at that low back. We also want to avoid arching and again, going into that extended position. So what I want you to think about is keeping your ribs stacked right over your hips. If our hips are a bowl and our rib cage is the top of a bird cage, we want them to stay stacked. We want to make sure that we're not extending or flexing as we go through. So again, from that starting position, make sure we're stacked over and then maintain that position as we go into our rock back. Now, everybody's hips are a little bit different, so you may need to go a little bit wider to maintain that neutral position, or you may need to bring it in a little bit. But again, that's going to be kind of individualized towards you as you go throughout these rock backs. So what I like to think about on these, just a deep breath. Shoot for about 2 to 3 seconds back. Hold, exhale, deep breath, and then exhale back to that starting position. All right, so again, just thinking about that belly breathing as you guys go through that we worked on at the very beginning. As you go through. All right. So next up, after we get through with those rock backs, again, I like to do about 5 to 6 reps on those rock backs, and everything we go through on the mobility exercises, I want you to just stay slow and controlled and think about where you're feeling it the most and what muscles are engaging as you guys go through. So after you get through the rock backs, we're going to go ahead and push it back into a deep squat, and we're going to hold that deep squat position. So what I'm going to have you guys do again, find that ideal knee width with your rock backs. We're going to push all the way back. Now from here, keeping that position, we're just going to keep rocking up until we're in that deep squat position. Now in that deep squat position, you want to make sure that your heels are on the ground, your toes are on the ground, that we're not collapsed in with our knees, and that our chest, again, is ribcage stacked over the hips. So not extended, but making sure that we're not rounded into this position. All right, so straight line position, and then we can hold. If you want a little bit more of a hip stretch, you can also just lightly press out on those knees especially if you're having a hard time engaging and kind of keeping those knees over the toes. This can kind of get us into that position. Now, still focusing on our belly breathing here. Breathe down low. And I like to generally hold this spot for about 30 seconds to a minute. You can go even longer than that. This is actually a really good exercise called the third world squat to get comfortable in for a lot of people, especially if you do have tight hips, tight ankles, things that are kind of restricting that mobility. So it may not be easy for you guys to work into initially, but it's something that is great to work on long-term to get to the point where you guys can maintain this position. I know I'm kind of falling out of the picture for you Facebook people, but what we've got, again, we should be able to maintain this position and really feel like we can hang out here for quite a while. It's, like I said, it may not be easy at first, but it's a great goal to work up to be able to sit in this position and be comfortable in it from there. So next exercise we're going to roll into is one of my favorites. It's called the touchdown squat. So we're going to start out in this deep squat position. You can also start out standing with this exercise as well. But for today, we're just going to roll it straight from the rock backs deep squat sit into our touchdown squat. So what I'm going to have you do from here, from this deep squat position, we're going to make a touchdown sign, all right? Just like we're refereeing football touchdown sign. We're going to stand up to the top position, and then we're going to go back down. I'm going to roll through 3 of these today, but like I said, if you want to do 4, 5, 6, feel free to do those. So from that top position, again, our feet are going to stay in that same position. We're going to reach down, grabbing your big toe. Again, if your hamstrings are tight, you may have to bend your knees a little bit. That's perfectly fine. We're going to bring it back down into that deep squat position, all right? A few deep breaths in the bottom, and then we're going to go up, touchdown, stand back up to that top position. Again, this is one where I don't want you going as fast as you can through it. Take your time and really think about where we're feeling it, what muscles are activating, where we feel tight, and see if we can loosen that up as we go through. So again, reaching down, grabbing the big toe, hips down, chest up, deep breath. Breathe down into your hips. Big exhale, hands up, and then standing back up to that top position. All right, so like I said, feel free to roll through those, as many of those as you need to. And again, that's a great exercise to loosen up your hips, get our rib cage into position as you go through. So 2 more to go here, everybody. Next up, we're going to work into a lateral lunge hold. All right, so this is going to be working side-to-side motion. And a few things we want to look for on these. We're going to go ahead and get into position. It's actually a lateral split squat. So what we're going to do with these is we're going to start out in a sumo stance. Toes are going to be lightly pointed out. Now I'm going to have you go ahead and keep your arms forward on these. And the reason why I like to do that is it just reminds us to keep our chest up and make sure that we're not rounding forward or losing balance as we go through, and that we're not extending back as we go through. So we're going to go arms straight out forward. From here, nice and controlled. I want you to think about pulling your hips down, all right? Rather than just letting gravity do the work, think about pulling your hips down to that bottom position. So we're going to start out arms forward. We're going to start out right or left, whichever side you want to go to first. Nice control. We're going to pull, 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 pull as far as we can down. As soon as you feel like you're hitting a wall, go ahead and pause. Take about 2 to 3 deep breaths. And one thing we want to look for in this position is making sure that the knee is tracking. If we were to draw a straight line out from the toe forward, our knee should be in that same line. All right, just making sure we're not caving in and we're not trying to go too far out. So after about 2 to 3 deep breaths, coming back up to that top position, then we're going to take it to the opposite side from there. So deep breath, pull down, pull, pull, pull. Again, once you feel like you can't go any farther, hold steady. Get about 2 to 3 deep breaths. And then drive back up to that top position. We're going to get 1 more each side here, everybody. So again, arms forward, deep breath. Slow pull down, pull down, pull down. Again, rib cage stacked over our hips. Deep breaths. And driving back up to that top position. Let's get 1 more to the right side. Arms forward, deep breath, pull. Pull, pull, pull as far as we can. You might even find that as you get into the 2nd, 3rd, 4th rep, that you get a little bit more range of motion with it as well. Exhale, back up to that midline. All right, everybody, the last one we're going to work on today is going to be a shoulder mobility exercise. So this is also working on strengthening the shoulder throughout a range of motion. It's going to be, we're going to go half kneeling shoulder rotation. So what we're going to do on these, I'm going to have you guys go 1 knee down, 1 knee up. We're going to start off, whichever knee down, we're going to rotate around with that arm. So my right knee's down. We're going to go thumbs up to that top position. Now with these, You can go against the wall as kind of a barrier. You can also go freestanding if you find you don't have much range of motion with these. So once we're in that starting position, thumb up. I just want you to make as big of a circle as we can, keeping that thumb up position. So we're going to go straight forward. Up, up, up. You'll find at the very top that we kind of get stuck in this top position. So what we're going to do from there is we're going to rotate our hand away, going into internal rotation of that shoulder, thumb down, and then we're going to continue through, back down. You'll find you're at the starting position. All right, we're going to go one more forward. Again, big circle, big circle, big circle with that thumb. Top, rotate palm away, thumb back, and back and around. All right, with those, big thing we want to focus on is making sure that that motion is coming from the shoulder, and we're not just rotating our upper body as we go through, because it'd be really easy to just do this, and then rotate around, but that's not really what we want to focus on with these. We want to put as much as we can into that shoulder as we go through. So on the opposite direction, we're going to start out thumb away. Again, we're going to go back, lead with that thumb, and this one's a little bit more smooth. You'll find that you can go all the way around, leading with that thumb in that direction. Once you get back to that starting position, rotate back, and then we'll continue second round through of the circles going through. All right, so I'm just going to go through two. Let's go ahead and switch over to the opposite side. Again, whichever knee's down, that's going to be the arm going through. Now make sure we're keeping our hips extended forward and we're not sinking back into this area. So into that extended position with the hips. Thumbs up, big circle, leading up. All the way up to the top, rotate that palm away. Leading with the thumb, nice controlled. Back to that starting position. We can just roll it into the next one here. Bring it up, rotate away, back to that starting position, and we'll go ahead, we'll take it backwards from here. So again, palm away, bring it back, up to the top, back around. Once we get to that starting position, again, rotate that palm back away, leading with the thumb, up, around, back to that starting position. All right, everybody, so that's 9 mobility exercises that you can roll through. Like I said, they're great to use either on a recovery day, as you go through. Like I said, not every workout has to be extremely high intensity and feel like you can't breathe once you get done, all right? A lot of these exercises are great for strengthening as well as maintaining or increasing your range of motion with exercises. So use this on your next recovery day. Let us know how it goes with each one. Like I said, you can do each exercise as long or as little as you want to. It really just depends on your mobility, your flexibility, and your strength with each position as you go through. Again, I'm Coach Grant, Optimal Performance. Have a good rest of your day, everybody.